Success Insight shares the stories of the people with passion and drive who make things happen in the world. Here's your host, Howard Fox.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Success Insight podcast. Today is a Mindset Monday, and you know what that means. Our guest is Andrée Martin, our leadership mindset and golf performance coach. Andrée is an LPGA Class A Life member, a nationally recognized top 50 golf teacher and expert, and a member of the Maine Golf Hall of Fame. Recognizing golf's value as a business tool in today's competitive marketplace, Andrée works with individuals, groups, corporate or organizational clients to create educational and team-building programs that enhance the professional success of aspiring executives. Andrée Martin, welcome back to the Success Insight podcast.
Thank you, Howard. As always, it's great to be back with you.
Fantastic. And so what's on the agenda today? What's that mindset topic we're going to dive into?
We're always looking for ways to go for the gold and not settle for silver. Today's topic is master the club you fear the most.
Mastering the club that you fear the most. Well, I know which one I love the most. I could always hit my 7-iron, everything else.
There you go.
How do we decide, where does that fear of a club come from? What's causing that?
Well, if we break down the word fear, and this is often used in business seminars for motivational uplifting of everybody in staffs, false evidence appearing real. Fear, false evidence appearing real. And if you think about it from that perspective, how have you created this false evidence if it's not real and made it real for yourself? And it's interesting because one of my favorite books that I read when I was in my 20s, I believe it was written by Susan Jeffers, and it was called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. One of my favorite sayings, and I've always kept that in the forefront of my mind as I've entered anything that has given me any kind of anxiety or second guessing, whether it is playing the game, whether it's in a business delivery or a talk that I'm giving to a group of people, and even talking about it with people. Where's this coming from? Why are we doing this to ourselves? And I get individuals coming to me saying, I just can't hit my sand wedge to save my life. I get other people saying, I can't hit that fairway wood to save my life. And it's interesting. I've had some people come to me with all hybrid clubs or metal woods and drivers. Then I've got others that love their irons and hate their woods. Well, why are those dichotomies one spectrum to another and so real for those individuals? And there's typically an event that occurs that affected your confidence level and made you believe that you couldn't do it. And so if that's the case, it is false evidence appearing real, isn't it? Whether it is you stepping up on the stage and saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my lines, and believing it. You know, it's like, don't think about a pink elephant. What do you see? I've used that before, but in this case, it's in a different way. What I often have done to help people get out of that fear is I'll have them either shut their eyes and hit a shot, or I'll have, let's just say it's a sand wedge. Well, I might put your gap wedge, and I'll use degrees of loft because there's a lot of people get those confused. Your gap wedge is going to be 50 degrees or 52 compared to a sand wedge at 56 or 54. I might also put your pitching wedge in your hand, which is about a 48 degree club. That might be your favorite club. And so I might go every other shot, and what you want to do is duplicate the one that you love. And the more you get into a groove of that club that you love, and then I put in the other one, some people immediately clamp up. Then you go into a whole evaluation of, okay, where is your breathing? It oftentimes goes up here in the throat, right? It doesn't stay down in the chest. And if we go back to the think box, play box that we've had in past episodes where it's all about the preparation and burning the tension and the breathing and getting that down in the lower chest and really creating the shot you want to execute. And if you go through that on a consistent basis with every single club in the bag, that evidence will go away and you're going to have the shot of your life. Other ways we can do that is by modifying, by putting it on a tee and then to a ground, back to the tee and back down to the ground. There's so many different ways, but it is possible, as is anything possible.
I'm reminded of this saying I read it not too long ago is, what you think about, you bring about. So if you fear this club, there was this event, which is that initial piece of evidence that things didn't go well. Now, you could do a couple things. You could keep thinking about it, and therefore you keep bringing about the fear and this limiting belief that you can't hit this club, or you work to overcome that fear and through techniques that you have just shared. And I could see something very similar in a business setting. One of the things we fear, and for any setting for that matter, and we fear death and we fear embarrassment. And so let's say our job requires us to make presentations. And maybe the presentation to our team is different than the presentation to our manager, which is then different than a presentation to senior leadership. And let's say you, for whatever reason, had a bad day. And we talked about 90 means nothing on the last episode. You just had a bad day, recover from it. You yourself can recover from it. Your manager, your peers help you recover from it. But you have a choice whether you're going to constantly remind yourself that I can't deliver presentations to the senior leaders because I'll just botch it up, or we can overcome that fear through preparation, think box, play box.
And taking it a step further, it's neurology too. We can do a pattern interrupt. We can work with anchoring in a positive way, just like anchoring can happen in a negative way. A feared club can turn into a club that gives you the yips, which for a golfer is a nightmare. And that's your neurology just firing and wiring and just almost halting you in the path of trying to execute a shot. Or we can do pattern interrupts with positive anchoring to pull one out of it, to positively move forward and say, hey, I love this club again. It might take a little time depending on how deeply that is ingrained in a person, but it's all possible. Anybody can do it. And again, this is going back to focusing on those beliefs that are serving you versus what is not serving you. And just really catapulting and moving forward and trusting that. So it's all about the tension levels and breathing and calming down and really allowing that evidence to disappear.
And I think it's important too to recognize when I'm beginning to have this angst.
Yes.
And it's in that moment to trust ourselves that this is not reality. This is just a blip. And this blip does not define me.
Right.
I'm going to use that club, or I'm going to make that presentation the next time, and I'm going to absolutely crush it.
Yes, absolutely. That's what it's all about in business, golf, and life.
So I have to ask, master the club that you fear the most. You don't get to be a nationally recognized golf teacher and classic LPGA life member without really being able to crush it. But I'm curious, what was the club that at some point you feared the most?
It was a club that I never had as a kid that I always wanted. And then when I finally got it, it's like, okay, now what do I do with it? And so I use this to help me teach others how to master the club they love. And that's the fairway wood.
The fairway wood.
Yeah. And I love it. When I hit it, I crush it. I love it. Every once in a while, it will just creep in. And a lot of times it's a club that you're not using that often, or nobody's ever taught you how to use it. And once you got it, it's just like you doing all these podcasts, Howard, right? In the beginning, maybe you were just trying different things to find the methodology and way in which fits your style of delivering this message and the style with which you do all of your coaching programs and the methodology with which you deliver it so well. And as we get in the ease and flow of that, going back to the Think Box, Go Box and what that delivers to create a very consistent routine, one thing overlays the other, and you're going to gain much more positive results. When you stay focused on all the tools it takes to create relaxed momentum, effortless power, and flow, you're going to have some great shots and you will succeed, whether it's coming out of a bunker with a wedge or your fairway shots.
Well, I love, too, the idea of visualizing what I want from this shot, from this club. I want this club to get me from where my ball is here to 30 yards short of the green so I can have a nice little pitch onto the green.
And for me, the fairway wood, it was all about, I was missing too many greens. Once I got hitting that fairway wood consistently, it's like, oh, so much easier. I can make birdies, more birdies. I can make eagles. And you get that in your head. It's like, oh, you want more. And so that overlays the other. What do you want? And how do you succeed to gain what you want? Where are you placing your focus?
And you start to remind yourself what this fairway wood is going to do for you, or this pitching wedge is going to do for you, or sandwich. I'm reminded, by the way, of all the clubs I didn't hit very well, but that's a whole other story. We'll take care of that
We'll
someday.
build on that. That's for sure.
We'll build on that one. Fantastic. So, Andrée, appreciate you, as usual, joining us again on Success Insight Podcast for Mindset Monday. And would love for our listeners to learn more about you and your work. Where are the best places for them to go?
Absolutely. And thank you. Yes, please go to andreegolf.com. That's ANDREE golf.com. YouTube is Andrée Martin Golf. And then there's LinkedIn and Facebook.
Fantastic. And we will most definitely provide the backlinks to your website, andreegolf.com, and to your YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook channels. So thank you again. It's been great having you on the podcast, and looking forward to our next episode on Mindset Monday.
Always a pleasure, and look forward to the next one as well, Howard.
Thank you. All right, folks, we've just been chatting with Andrée Martin, our leadership mindset and golf performance coach. And today's episode of Mindset Monday was Master the Club that you fear the most. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Do go out and visit Andrée at andreegolf.com and all of the social sites as well. We'll provide those backlinks. And do visit us on successinsightpodcast.com. Let us know what you thought about today's episode. We'd love to get some comments from you. Also, please share it with your friends and colleagues, family members who you think would appreciate these Mindset Monday episodes. You can also find us on the major podcast channels, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And then we are also on Facebook and LinkedIn on successinsightpodcast.com. And you can also find us on YouTube as well on successinsightpodcast.com. Fantastic. Another great episode, and looking forward to more to come. Okay, folks, that's all we have for today. Go out there, have a phenomenal day, practice social distancing, and wear your mask. Take care of yourselves and your family, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Success Insight Podcast. Take care now.
Success Insight is a production of Fox Coaching and First Story Strategies. Find us online, successinsightpodcast.com.